some issues that I would kind of tee up for discussions. One is that this is a meta reform. This isn't a to-do list. This is kind of a strategy for overall management of a reform agenda, which says that we're going to combine standard approaches and flexible approaches, and we're going to use emerging problems as the pivot between those two. And we've got a set of communication strategies and organization strategies that let us do both. Well, does that work? The second is that I think there's a way in this to really get at some of these difficult conflicts that stymie reform so much between the proponents of standardization or high fidelity use of research-based practices on the one hand and teacher autonomy on the other, by essentially saying, you know, we need both, but we need them for different things. And we're going to organize for both, but neither one's going to be our sole strategy. So I think there's I think there's an avenue there to address this issue that's been a real problem for us. From an organizational theory standpoint, I think we've got a real alternative here to loose coupling as an organizing strategy, but also an alternative to tight coupling and standardization as an organizing strategy. We know we need to link leadership more to student learning, but we're still searching for the theoretical models that make sense. One of the ways that people have taken that to start with is say, well, let's standardize everything, and the high reliability organization literature doesn't support that. It gives us another dimension for understanding scale up, because if you have some of these things in place, it's easy to imagine using an awfully lot of practices successfully. If you don't have some of this reliability platform in place, then it's much harder to implement anything and do it successfully. It suggests a model of evaluation that says that, just like BP, we've got to talk not just about the great successes of the kids who were in our special program, but whether or not shifting resources to that special program changed the failure rate system-wide. Right? So it creates a broader basis for evaluating our reforms. We can't just look at what are the positive benefits of the special thing we did. We've got to be looking at the cost of success, or the cost of failure and the benefits of success on a district-wide or system-wide level, pretty much across the board. And finally, I think as someone who's always been interested in special education, I think this offers a way of de-siloing some of our specialist interventions. There are a lot of emerging models, not just in special education, but in gifted and talented and behavior management, and a lot of areas that are pretty compatible with this notion of trying to standardize for a first level, but then being very systematic about what you do beyond that. So I think there's some possibility for de-siloing some of our management work so that we really can talk about focusing all of a district office on support for instruction.